You are in the Where's Huddle with me, Bram, and with me, per usual, my master of all things video and sound, Maxime,
How's it going?
and my boy and producer, MT.
What's up, Dub Nation?
Gentlemen, we've got a bunch of Warrior stuff to talk about today. I can't wait. A lot of questions whose answers I'm excited to hear, but I've got a story that's been frustrating me and burning through me for, I don't know, 12 hours now. So I'm just going to say it now. Otherwise, I'll be distracted and then Warrior stuff, right? So yesterday, I am in a joint work project with another attorney. I like this guy. I've known him for a while. And because we're doing this thing together, we spent the full day yesterday. I mean, a good like 15, 16 hours. And then more pertinent to the story, 2 meals together. And so lunchtime rolls around. He's come in from out of town. We're in my office. So I leave it to him. Where do you want to go? We go grab Greek. It's great. Shawarma. I'm on, it was good. Whatever, big deal. We ate, came back. Nothing happened there. Fast forward a good 7, 8 hours. We've now completed what we needed to do, but it's time for another meal. We got dinner. And so I assume that it'll be up to me. We'd left it up to him. I'm not pushy about it. And as we're walking out of the office, he says, "Do you mind if I pick dinner? I'm never in this city." I was like, "Yeah, no problem." Leave it up to him. He picks Greek. He picks the same fucking place. We went back to the same fucking place twice. I've been alive for a long time. I have done multiple meals in a day many times. I've never gone back to the same place. Like, to the point, it shocked me. I just said yes and didn't even really talk for the rest of the time. I didn't even know what to order. I got like a salad. It was a difficult experience. All right. So I've been waiting to ask into a microphone. Acceptable? Can you, one, is it okay to go to the same place twice in a day? Two, can you make somebody else do that? Is it okay to ask somebody? So any advice you guys can give me here, I'd really appreciate it.
I have some follow-up questions. Was lunch effusive? Was he like in between bites, like freaking out, like, "Oh, this is the best shawarma I've ever had"?
Great question. No. And that would have, like, if we had done that, if there was or if even if it had been like, "Look, there's no Greek anywhere close to me. Like, I can never get this." At least there'd be some foundation. He would have given me a heads up that, like, that's where we were headed.
Mm-hmm. And then my second question is, did your office move to something like Crockett where there's only one restaurant in the whole town?
It is. It's weird.
Okay.
I actually, when I said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Fun fact, there's only one place, but you can still select it." So 1,000% up to you.
Because it is pretty wild to say, I never get to eat in the city, so therefore let's go to the same place.
Hell yes. It should have been part of that, because it was a follow-up. It was like, "Do you mind if I pick?" There wasn't like, "Do you mind if I pick? Can we go back?" It was like, "Do you mind if I pick?" Wait. And then I say, "Yeah." And then he hits me with the Greek suggestion.
Oh, man, I feel like this kind of stuff only happens to you. Like
Thanks, MT. This makes me feel a lot better. That's great. I really appreciate waiting until now. I live the life of Mr. Bean. It's like, I'm just like, just go from awkward location to awkward location and make weird faces into the camera as other things fucking happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think without him prefacing that he was going to select the same place, I think he's in the wrong. Like I'm a creature of habit, so I get going to the same places. If it was just me, I've gone to the same restaurant multiple times, especially when I'm out of town and I just find something that I like. But for him to drag you along with it and set it up that way, sorry, whoever that is, but I'm on Team Bram on this one.
I think you're 100% right about that. The first part is also the part I'll agree on, and then we'll go to Warriors here. But I'm especially in a new place, if I find something that's like pseudo good, I won't look anywhere else. I went to school for a quarter in London, lived by this terrible deli. Terrible. The food was dog shit. First day I went there, every day for lunch after that, because I didn't know anywhere else. And I was like, this is my spot. So I definitely understand. All right, to the Warriors, gentlemen. And let's start where we always do. The glass half full. Look back at recent Warriors basketball. Give me something you like or don't. If either of you have something burning through you, why don't you go first?
I've got absolutely nothing to really like or dislike. I think it's a very difficult time in sort of watching the Warriors fandom, because you got people kind of hating, I feel like, directly on me for saying we should tank and saying, "You're an idiot. Like, there's no point in tanking, even though we heard from KP saying that we should. So it's a struggle because I want to be excited about the fact that we're losing games, but then I'm hearing from Warriors Twitter sphere and Warriors Reddit sphere that I'm an idiot for wanting the team to tank because there's no point. And so it puts me in a bit of a purgatory where I'm neither happy nor sad on either end of the spectrum. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, here, if you need some support, I'll give it to you right now. Here's my glass half full. I pumped my fist after losses to the Jazz and the Chicago
Right.
Bulls.
Yeah.
I'll take that a step further. In a season where I'm now hoping for draft position and losses, losing to the Jazz and Chicago and back to back is like beating the fucking Thunder and the Nuggets in back to back games in seasons when you're trying to win. Like the level that they had to really reach deep to get those losses was no fucking joke. And I was on board for it. And I understand what you're saying. There is a vocal minority, I think minority out there who is so used to chasing chips that talking about losing now gets this anger out of them. But I've been around long enough to know if you are not winning a championship, it's better to be building towards one. And the only way they're going to build with this season, in my opinion, is the draft pick. But that's a question that we're going to revisit. MT, what's that got to you?
Sorry for being so mean to you on Reddit, Maxime. I didn't mean to come off that way. But I'm with you. I think this is not reporting, and I do not have any sources for this, so it's probably not true. However, Draymond Green is arguably a stronger IQ player than he is physical, like talent-wise player. His IQ is stronger.
You like the foul?
Fouling Jalen Smith on a fadeaway 2-point shot, not arguing, and nobody reacting to it. I was like, well, that's one way to tank. Like, I guess you could go that way. So I'm with you, Bram. And sorry to the Reddit world if they're gonna come after me for this one too. But half full is that we are under 500, that we showed some fight against Utah and Chicago and then found a way to lose those games. I think Steph is too competitive and too much of a purist of the game to ever admit it. But behind closed doors, I would be shocked if not everybody in that organization is supportive of what's going on right now.
If we've got, so there's no question you were right. I was going to play this later. Let's play it now. There's a clip from Anthony Slater who recently dropped this take, and then I'll follow up. Here's Anthony Slater.
Next season has become the season in this final Steph era. And I don't think at all they want to jeopardize that. And this is, from what I gather, an injury that, they fear if you do put him back on the court and he's not quite ready, it could, re-injure, re-aggravate. Next season has become the season in this final Steph.
That's it right there. So Anthony Slater was the go-to beat writer for a while he was here, so much so that he has now been pulled into ESPN and is ESPN's go-to Warriors expert. You do that by having relationships with people on the team, right? Things that get slipped to you. If the Warriors have slipped to the go-to Warriors expert, hey, aggravation concerns next year is what we care about. That if you're looking for any actual outside reporting that the Warriors are interested in tanking, there you go. I think that we just heard it. And then to Venn diagram the shit with what you just said. So there's a phrase that you hear frequently: organizations tank, players don't. The idea behind it is that you can't add that when the players are out there, they give it their all. And so that's not how, when you're tanking, it's not like you ask the players to lose. What the organization does is they sit people. And we just heard a little piece of that, right? They're sitting Steph. There you go. But what I loved about your observation, MT, because I saw that same foul, that's as close to, oh my God, I think players are tanking as I've ever come. And not that Draymond gave it his all that whole day. It's not like one of those where he's point shaving or some shit. That's not what's up. But you got to the end of that. And who knows? I don't. We're never going to hear it. But you got to the end of that, and the guy known for hoop IQ in one of the worst fouls possible if you're trying to fucking win that game. And at the risk of repeating myself, fist pump. I was like, let's go, fucking Draymond. It's exactly what we needed, baby.
Exactly. I was like, if I know not to foul him in that situation, then I know Draymond knows that. And just to watch his reaction and to watch how he fouled him was like, dude, that's like a Kobe Bryant turnaround. Terrible. It's like foot was all over the line, like terrible 2-point shot. And he fouled him. I was like, what do you? Oh, that's what you're doing. Okay.
I thought to myself, light years ahead, motherfuckers. These guys, the Jazz in Chicago, have been tanking from November, and we they came into our building. It's like, you just watch, like we know how to do this even better than you. Don't you worry about it. I'll give you another hoop related. I'm stealing this, not stealing it. I am crushing on your player, Marcus Anthony Melton. There's always been concerns about his health. There's been very few concerns about his talent. And this year, he's showing you why he's a good player. Steph's been out 12 games. Since then, Milton's averaging 15.6, team high, 14.2 shots per game, team high, and is one of the only guys who can develop his own offense. They're doing, to due respect to Guy Santos, who's playing very well in high energy, due respect to Pajemski, who's also playing really well in clutch in overtime games. But you watch that offense and you're not bowled over by people who can get their shot. There's not a lot of creation, and Melton is the exception to that, which is good to see, and at least so far has been relatively healthy. So glass half full.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Jump aboard. There's still room on this bandwagon.
Yeah, it hasn't filled up entirely this season. You sure?
Exactly. No, I think it just underscores how much of a dark horse we would be as a team if D'Anthony Melton is our third or fourth option. If you have Steph and Jimmy as 1 and 2, Porzingis is healthy, and you have Melton and Draymond rounding out that, and then you have Gee and Pods and Moody and Horford coming off the bench. I think that's a scary enough team in the playoffs that not most teams wouldn't want to see us. So unfortunately, health hasn't bounced our way, but I like it. I think it's building up something, to Anthony Slater's point, that next year is the year.
That's exactly right.
If everything is healthy, then these games are important for D'Anthony to build up that confidence, and for the team to get to know how to play around him when he's hot.
Let's keep the theme of fuck the Reddit people who think that we shouldn't tank going here, because I'll add another component to this. So heading towards next year, right? There's two things: oversimplification, giant oversimplification. But there's two things that go into how valuable a player is. One, skill, right? How good they are at basketball. That very obviously matters. Two, how much you have to pay them. If you have someone who's good, but you're overpaying them, what that means now is you don't have enough money for the rest of the roster. If I've got $100 to spend on groceries and I spend $90 on a steak, the steak might be incredible, but now I only have $10 for the rest of the fucking week. How can you do it? So there's this, this counterbalance. Going back to the tanking thing, the upshot of a deep draft is what they might be able to add next year is not only a player whose talent is high, a starter or someone even better than that, but a player whose talent is high at a remarkably small price, because they are all locked into that rookie scale. So if next year is the year for Anthony Slater and everybody else, and maybe Jimmy comes back and maybe Steph is healthy, you can add another piece to this layer along with D'Anthony Melton. That's why we have been preaching this shit. Okay, to our Gold Links questions, boys. This is our version of a mailbag. We haven't jumped into it quite as frequently as I normally do, but we got some this week. Someone wrote in and asked, essentially, how many games do we have to wait before we can give a definitive opinion on the Jonathan Kuminga trade? And here's why. All right, so he starts off like a house on fire, but it's been 7 games now. So first 3 games, 27-7, 17-9, 20-7. It looks like we're losing this trade. Then 3 DNPs did not play for any reason, bone bruise in his left knee. And then last night had a game, or 2 nights ago, where he went for 2 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists, 0 for 4 from the field, 2 for 4 from the free throw line over 19 minutes, a stat line that I've seen before. So we're not going to weigh in on like, is this working or not? My question is, how many games do we have to give it before, okay, now this trade was good, bad, whatever it is.
How many games is it right now?
7.
9? 7.
Just 7.
7 for me.
Yeah, if we're talking about me specifically, it was 0, right? I think, the Atlanta Hawks fan base are the people that need to hear this. And I think it's fair for them to get a season. And I'm telling you, at the end of a season, in March 13th, 2027, you're going to be saying, oh, I see why Golden State let him go, right? Like, he's great when he plays against the Washington Wizards, but is really only able to create for himself in limited circumstances when the pressure ramps up, when people are targeting him. He kind of folds under the pressure. I shouldn't say it that way. He's a very athletic person, but he folds under complicated defensive schemes where he has to sort of do a little bit more than just drive to the hoop. So I'm with MT. Like, I'm already convinced that this was the right move to make, as in to get off of his contract. But I think the Hawks fan base will learn by this time next year that, okay, this isn't as fun as it was those first 3 games.
A couple years ago, we bought a new car for Erica. I didn't buy it. We leased it. We did all this research, found the car that she really liked, and they had a bunch of positive reviews. Bunch of good things. But then there was also a couple of negative reviews. One of them said it's like bad gas mileage, something like that. We didn't pay attention to it. Got the car, loved it. Had it for a couple of weeks, going great. All the positive reviews were right. And then we started watching the gas mileage. And I remember there was like some moment where I noticed for the first time, just briefly, it's like, the gas feels like it's going down a little bit faster than I want. And suddenly, when I noticed it for the first time, I was nothing but worried. Like, oh my God, did we shit the bed here? Feels like Atlanta might be noticing the gas mileage. Like, this was just one game, dude. Who knows? He might bounce back entirely. But it wouldn't surprise me if a couple of assholes got tight when they were watching that game. Like, ooh, maybe Kuminga isn't a fucking all-star. So we'll see. I will give it to the end of the year. What do I need to say yes or no? I'm with you guys. They had to do this. There's no reality where he could still be here. They had to get rid of him. Whether or not this is like good for Atlanta or who JK is, let's play out the year and then we'll revisit. And I don't mind telling you boys that if he plays poorly, we're having Christian back on and we're doing a fucking victory lap. But we'll wait, a lot of games between then and now.
I say 7 just because we already know what Atlanta got. And he's going to have more games where he scores 20 points and does well and has highlight dunks. But at the end of the day, his brand of basketball doesn't contribute to winning basketball games. And I think that's what they're going to realize the most. And it's not because he's not talented. It's just because he's inconsistent. Yeah. So you can have a stretch of 20-point games and he's looking really good and he's engaged. And that's how he was at the start of our season. Like start off the first 7 games. And Steve Kerr was like, he's in our starting lineup. He's playing great. And then he has that lull where he goes through, like enough games to where Kerr would bench him. Hopefully, like Quinn Snyder or whoever else is his coach doesn't have as short of a leash to put him on the bench. But I think they're going to realize that like the inconsistency is what is going to be frustrating for them. It's that we loved it when he was great. It's just the problem was you couldn't depend on him being great. And when he wasn't great and he was not engaged, he'd be a -20 on the plus minus. And that was just hard to come back from.
I love that you said, I'm not sure if Quinn Snyder is going to give him as much rope. There's a chance that after he put up 27 in his first game, Steve Kerr called up Quinn Snyder. Was like, bench him. It's like, fuck him. It's like, I don't care what happened. It's like, you should just right now. I noticed
coaches stick together, right?
It's like, I've seen this. Like you just get him out immediately. I don't know if you have a lacrosse player, but start playing the lacrosse player as much as you can.
Yeah, it's so interesting too. Like you brought that up. Like just quick aside, the amount of rope that Pat gets compared to JK is unfair. Like Pat Spencer can do the exact same mistakes as JK, and he'll still be in the game. He'd be like, why are you still in the game? But JK would be benched for the whole road trip.
Is Nate Williams making like incredible IQ plays everywhere? LJ Cryer are these guys like setting the world on fire? Because I'm watching these games and I'm like, feels like the standards might have shifted a little bit. But I mean, God knows we have covered this in spades, and we'll save the rest of these takes for Kristen when she comes back in our revenge podcast. All right, to my last question. And this golden question comes from me. Mark Spears, who I actually like a lot, appeared on 95.7 The Game, was on with Willard and Dibbs, and offered kind of an interesting quote. Let's play it, and then I got a couple of follow-up questions.
He wants to play this season. He wants to play in the postseason. Does he have championship aspirations? I think he's realistic about that. He mentioned to me that Jimmy Butler is not going to be there, but he obviously must like Podziemski, Gee, some of the other young guys on the team, Moody, if it's important for him to get them playoff time. Because I think he knows whether it's a Giannis, whether it's a LeBron James, like there's going to be somebody next summer that's going to join him, join Jimmy, join Draymond, assuming he's still there too. And remember, man, this is the Warriors. They got a brand. They could quick fix and add some talent. So, but on the cheaper side is the younger guys. And if you get them that good experience and like they're getting now, then it's going to help the franchise in the long run and save them some money for somebody bigger in the process.
You can cut it there. And I should have set that up, that Mark Spears is talking about is Steph Curry, of course, right? And so I hear two things coming from that quote. One, Steph values a possible playoff appearance this year because it would give the younger players some playoff experience, and that is valuable, which goes directly against what we spent the first 10 minutes of this podcast talking about, tanking, right? The second thing is that the Warriors are expecting to add a star, hopefully, or another piece to this puzzle during the offseason. Let's take them in turn. First one, all right? Playoff experience. Steph's opinion matters. Mark Spears detailed it pretty well. And so what I'm ultimately going to ask is, hearing that, getting playoff experience for the younger players, does that hedge against the tanking that we've talked about? I would imagine, just to give you guys some people to think about who they're talking about, is Moses or Pods or Gee. For point of reference, Moses has some championship experience, played on the team in 2021, then got experience in 2022, 2023, and then last year. Pods and Gee, the only experience they have is our brief stint last year. They went through the first round, then lost in the second. All right. So we hear that. You hear the value of playoff experience. Does that make you second guess the need to tank in any way?
I mean, far be it for me to second guess Steph. If he thinks it's valuable, it's valuable. But I struggle to see the value of sneaking by a play-in game and then getting hammered by the 1 or 2 seed. So if getting swept or a gentleman's sweep is valuable experience, then again, Steph knows more than me, but I don't know. I struggle to see the value in that.
I not only don't see the value on it, you want to know what my big fear is now? It's a weird thing, and I've done like bottomless hole research on it because I'm not positive. But if I understand it right, you go into the play-in tournament with the supposed draft order. For example, and I forgot to say this up front, right now, if the season ended, the Warriors would be 12th. They have the 12th pick as things stand, and they're only 1.5 games ahead of Portland. There's a good chance they could slide down. So now we're talking about the 11th pick, right? But they are also locked in to the play-in. They're not going to fall out of the play-in. Everyone else beneath them is already done so shittily. The way I understand it, I think, is that if you use the play-in to get into the playoffs, you lose your lottery pick. You are no longer a fucking lottery team because you're in the playoffs, And so between those two, valuing, do I hope they get into the play-in, win, and get some playoff experience? Fuck no, I do not. That sounds like a nightmare. That sounds like worst case scenario. Like we try to lose, succeed in losing, and then slip into the playoffs. For what? To give Brandon Podziemski 8 minutes of ass kicking? Like I'm okay on that. If we're going to be leaning on anyone to win a championship, it's not going to be Guy Santos extra 3 minutes that he got in a gentleman's sweep, So no, let's add a player, not what I feel to be meaningless experience. Maxime, are you on the other side of this?
No, I'm not. I think the only way that I'd be game with getting some playoff experience is if we could proactively draft that lottery pick and then put that person on the playoffs and give them some playoff experience. Because we don't need it from anybody else. Your point is valid, right? You either have Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Pajemski, Porzingis, whoever else they may add in the offseason. Those are all people that have gotten rings, theoretically, with whoever we add. Like that, they don't need additional playoff experience. So what we're talking about are some, this new pick that we add. So I'm much more interested in maintaining that lottery pick.
Don't they in soccer? Can't you lend players?
Yes.
Someone you can take a contract and give them up somebody. So yeah, Moses can go play with the Thunder. Can we do that? Whoever our draft pick is, maybe they can spend a little bit of off time, going on a quick run here.
Yeah. The only benefit I could see is if we somehow sneak into the 7th seed and play the Spurs, because the Spurs don't have any playoff experience.
Yep.
Like they're ripe for being that team that's like, oh, we're 1 year away. We're one ass kicking in the playoffs away from making any noise. So would we be that team that gives it to them? And then it's like, is it valuable experience for us to make it to the second round and then get bludgeoned by the Nuggets? Like, I don't know.
Who slightly disagrees with this? And every time I say I'm not going to talk about Kuminga, I apparently do. Who slightly disagrees with this is Steve Kerr, because who got an ass ton of playoff experience last year? Jonathan Kuminga. He was our number one option against Minnesota. Steph goes down and we're like, you know what? Get in there, dude. Take fucking 50 shots. And then afterwards, you know how much that experience means to us? Go to Atlanta. Get the fuck out. Please, please, please. Okay, to the second part. They want to add a star. You heard Mark Spears say they're expecting, or there's a good chance that the pedigree and the need could bring somebody in. Couple that with Anthony Slater. They understand next year is the year, so they'll probably make an addition. There's been another story that I've had in my notes and I just haven't brought up, but supposedly the Warriors went after Kawhi Leonard before landing with Kristaps Porzingis. Here's a story from NBC Sports Bay Area, the network that covers the team. General manager Mike Dunleavy and company also reportedly called the Los Angeles Clippers about Kawhi Leonard when the team seemed open to trading its franchise superstar. Trade for Leonard never came to fruition, which led the Warriors to pivot to Atlanta Hawks and Kristaps Porzingis. Leonard still is in the prime of his career, even at 34 years old, averaging 27.9, 6.4 rebounds, and 2 steals per game. So my question to you, gentlemen, is you'd be interested in Kawhi? Is this a name? Because it's not one of the people we've thrown around. We've talked about Giannis and all these other guys. But there's a lot of ups and downsides. Warrior fans certainly have experience. I watched this guy beat us in the fucking finals. I've watched him be when Zaza Pachulia accidentally hurt him. Kawhi Leonard may have been the best player on earth. We've watched this dude deliver, and they're not wrong. This year, he's been really, really good. Also, really, really weird. The whole Kawhi experience is bananas. The Uncle Dennis shit, the aspirations shit, not even the injuries, sure, health, but then just the stuff around the injuries, no communication, you're never really sure. So would you guys be interested? If Mike D gave you a call, hey, I think we could get him. Should we pursue him? What's your answer?
I think so. I mean, shout out to Orlando Moore in the chat. He said that Steph and Kawhi would be unbeatable. I agree. That's a formidable backcourt. And what Kawhi does is replicate the defense that Clay used to bring, probably a little bit better, and the drop off in shooting he makes up for defense. But I would do it. It's just, do we have enough trees that need to be planted around the Bay Area to make sure he stays out of trouble is the bigger question.
If you're looking for trees planted, you do not want Kawhi Leonard. There's going to be exactly 0 trees planted. Defensively, so you think offensively, and there are players who I know if you need a bucket, they're going to get it, or you expect them to get the score. There's not a lot of people defensively where you have that kind of confidence in history. Like if there's a defensive possession and we need a steal, you're never really thinking, oh, of course we'll get one here. That's not really how defense works. Kawhi Leonard is the exception to that. There are stretches when he is on fire where it looks like he literally decides, you know what, I'm just going to take it now, and then does. And like pretty capably. So his skill set speaks to me. Maxime, would you do it? Would you pursue him?
Hell yeah. And I think there's also, he is a weird exception to the rule in that he's, in my mind, still at his defensive peak right now, this season. You could say, oh, as you get older, you sort of take a step back, and I don't see that with Kawhi. I think he's still very capable of stealing the ball. And I also, like, he's no slouch on the offensive end. He can get to his spots. He can get some shots up. I would do it. And to address the aspiration thing, like, I think I've said it before, I really don't blame him for getting his bag. I think you have other weird people in the league, like, the Ball family and sort of weird representation outside of the NBA. But like, LaMelo's still able to do his thing. Get your money. It's fine. I think this is more an issue with Ballmer circumventing the cap than Kawhi. Like, Kawhi didn't plant the trees. Kawhi got the money, and then they were supposed to plant the trees with the money that, that he spent. It's just, I don't have any issue really with his behavior. I have an issue with the people around him, and I don't think that that's going to matter because he's still capable of being awesome on the court.
The aspirations thing, the idea, him receiving money outside of the salary cap doesn't bother me in any way. Right. There's no amount of money I would say no to betting on whether or not this is happening in other teams with other players. Like it's 100%. Not, the thing that I think the aspirations shows, the only difficulty I would have with his poor communication with his employer and his team. Like what I would expect when this happens is you play ball to make sure that nobody finds out about it. Whatever the fucking deal is, I remember hearing a rumor. I'm sure this is not true, not reporting, but LeBron made the redo of Space Jam. That was right around the time that Anthony Davis was coming to the Lakers. And supposedly Anthony Davis got paid an ass ton of money to be in Space Jam, maybe a little bit more than someone of his quality. But if they asked Anthony Davis about it afterwards, like, hey, did you act at all? If he was like, no, I never showed up on set. Like, what are you doing? Like at least play ball on this. That Kawhi didn't. There's a weird thing to it. You know what I mean? Would I consider him? Yes. There was a period of time when the Warriors were not in the real NBA. That's a quote from Steve Kerr. And what he was saying is that we were above it all. When we were landing DeMarcus Cousins and Kevin Durant and like people just wanted to play here, then when you added people, they didn't come with downsides. They just wanted to be here. That's we're the fucking Beatles. They wanted to be a part of it. We're in real life now. That time's ended. We're not that team. And so now if you're adding people, there's going to be a reason why they're available. It just is. There's going to be downsides. They're going to be injury prone, or they're going to have Uncle Dennis's. They're going to have an aspiration. So on this guy, is there things to be worried about? Yeah, sure. But am I willing to accept that risk for that one last season we heard Slater talk about? Yeah, dude, let's go. I would absolutely do this. We've got the rest of this year. We've got some time to figure it out, but that was a possibility. Okay, to our last segment. The look around the league. MT, what do we got?
All right. Three stories from the NBA. Bam Adebayo would be the first one. Recently scored 83 points, surpassing Kobe Bryant, pissing off everybody in the Lakers jersey and a lot of other people. And we could talk about how unapologetic Spoelstra and Bam and the whole Heat organization are about Bam having that. I watched the last 3 minutes of that game, and that was not basketball, but you talk about that. Second story, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander broke Wilt's record of 127 games, scoring 20 or more points. So we could talk about that, and if that's another record that has gone down, and if there's an asterisk that deserves to be around that as well. And then the last one is just foul baiting. It's always been a topic of conversation in the league, especially when Harden was at his height. It's now come back with a vengeance around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Jaylen Brown has been the most recent person to pipe up about it. So we could talk about whether or not that has gotten out of control, if that's something that is tarnishing the league, and why on earth Steph Curry doesn't get a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander whistle.
Or fucking a Bam whistle. I saw a quote about SGA from Steve Kerr, which I liked. He said, I don't blame him. His ability to take advantage of the rules is really impressive. He's not wrong. He said, what I don't like are the rules. The Bam story feels like it's what, history, second highest scoring of all time. So that's who I would pick.
Well, you want to talk about history? This is like, I mean, it's the second highest scoring of all time, It's like, let's come on here and talk about the silver medalists at the Olympics. Like, okay, cool, Like, I don't know. It all, to me, does kind of wrap up. All three of these stories wrap up to, like, some rule changes feel like they're needed, right? Because, I mean, what did he have, like 44 free throws or something? Like, that's not fun. It's not fun to watch basketball when somebody's at the free throw line even half that much. And I think we have a viewership problem if that's going to be the continuous direction of the league. And so I think foul baiting is another version of that. It's just like, Jaylen Brown is not free from blame in terms of, being a flopper, right? But he is not wrong in saying, like, I just want to play basketball. And I think I'm proud to have Stephen Curry be the franchise leader here, because, like, he plays more the right way. And you could say that he doesn't get the right whistle. Maybe that's not something that he's great at, is being able to draw fouls and draw contact in that way, compared to SGA, Jaylen Brown, Bam Adebayo. But I would much prefer to just watch people hoop than watch that bullshit that led to 83 points or, SGA kind of flailing all over the place, even if it is correct.
Bam Adebayo took 43 free throws last night. How many free throws do you think Steph has taken this season?
Oh, shit. Across every game that he's played.
Shoof. 58.
41.
Oh,
no.
Wow.
This is from ESPN Herm. So this is not an individual research. So if I'm wrong, the people who know that I'm wrong can fuck themselves. But it was a social media post that put out there. And I'm going to pretend like we definitively picked Bam, because I've got a follow-up story. I spoke to a friend of the podcast, Wes, who covers Miami. And I asked him, were you there? And he said, I had media availability. I had the pass, and then ended up not going because I wanted to stay home and watch another game. And I had a similar story. I had tickets to the game that Barry Bonds hit his 73rd home run, and stayed home and watched the Raiders lose by 1,000 and ended up not going. And I've since lied about it. I tell people, yeah, I was at that game. I used to be more specific. I had tickets to it. Now I just straightforward lie. If you were Wes, would you lie about this? He does a fucking Heat podcast, and I'm sure they're going to talk all about this shit. Like, would you leave the insinuation of, like, of course I was there, or would you open up and be honest about, I didn't go?
I think any content is good content, right? So you sort of spin it. Like Ben Golliver just had a post where he was lamenting not being at Kobe's last game, even though I think he picked right and went to the 73-9 record-breaking game, and then wrote a whole post about it, right? So you could just write about how miserable you were that you weren't there.
Oh, MT, you said it wasn't basketball. Why? You said you watched the last 3 minutes. What hit you?
So I was just trying to look it up. It looks like he shot 204.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well.
I was like, there's no way Steph only shot 41. If that's true, then that is the question we're talking about for the next 5 podcasts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how many games have they played? He's definitely taken more than one fucking free throw per game. But as I said, there's a reason why I had to go ESPN Herm, because I realized how preposterously bad that mistake was. I stick by it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Not the
shout out
one.
ESPN Herm for telling the truth like it is out here. Yeah. Why I say it's not basketball, or why other people say it was not basketball, is just because that last 3 minutes, like, the team was missing on purpose. They were giving it to Bam. He was, obviously in one-on-one situations. The Wizards were doing all that they could do to try to prevent him from getting the record. It was a parade to the free throw line. And, like, it felt like four square ball at some point. Like, it just, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't fun to watch. And it made an already questionable product where I feel like it's hard to defend it at times for what the game has turned into. Like, that last 3 minutes, you can't let anybody who's a casual fan watch that. Otherwise, they will not be a fan anymore.
Everybody agrees with you. Ime Udoka, like his take was like, oh, I looked it up. He only hit like 6 threes and took 40 free throws. And the Wizards, I believe he said.
Yeah.
JJ Redick had a similar take. Wemby had a similar take. Here's my follow-up question. Why the fuck was Washington fouling? Like, what the game is over, they're down 30. This guy he's getting ready to set the record. Like, wouldn't you just go as, like, you call a timeout, keep your hands down. Like, we're going to put all 5 people on him. Let everybody, like, they can score at will. Let anybody else go. Keep your hands down. Like, I don't get how they were fouling.
Yeah. I don't know why they were fouling either.
Because it's the Wizards. I mean, they did have like 4 bodies on him at all times, right? Just maybe they're undisciplined enough and they couldn't handle it.
I mean, they let JK go off for 20 and 27, so who knows?
Yes or no? Was that an impressive performance from Bam Adebayo?
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
I think scoring 83 points in any basketball game, let alone a professional one, regardless of how you view that NBA game in particular, it was still an NBA basketball game, and he scored 83 points. That is extremely hard. Even 43 free throws, he still had to make enough of them to make a dent into that record. So, is it impressive? Yes. It's just I don't like that it bumped Kobe out of it. I'm not a huge Kobe fan like some other people, but it feels disrespectful that Bam is in between Wilt and Kobe now with just because of that performance.
I mean, is it impressive? Of course it is. Judging only from the times they've let me shoot down at Chase Center, if you I don't know how many minutes he played, whatever it was, say 35. If you gave me 35 minutes on an NBA court with no defense, I don't know if I put up 83 points. I don't know that in any way, shape, or form. As far as the like disrespectful thing, you put up 84, you push out Kobe, and you've done it in the course of a game. It's nothing but impressive, and they're going to talk about it forever. If you are, I mean, I am also not a Kobe guy. I'm a Warriors fan, but I understand who he was, and he's become kind of a deity. I mean, like when they talk about him now, it's a different thing. For them to have fouled up 30 continuously over the last 3 minutes just to beat Kobe feels weird. Yeah, it hedges against it. So yeah, of course I'm impressed. But it doesn't, like when you're talking about like the 100-point game or whatever it is, this. Here, let me put it a different way. This feels less impressive than Kobe's 81, even though he scored 2 more points.
I agree. I was wondering, do you guys know how many free throws Kobe took in that game?
I know that during that long ass pause, I thought you were going to say more than I agree. I was all excited. I was like, oh, this fool is fucking thinking it out. And like, no, it was just an I agree.
Man, it's not in the ESPN box score. Damn it.
I don't know. I know that he was being guarded by Jalen Rose. And it's one of the best basketball commercials of all time when Kobe shot that shit, giving Jalen crap about it. But the free throw part, I don't know.
18 of 20.
From free throw?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact, Steph has taken less than 20 free throws this whole season. It's a trick. It's crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy. ESPN Bram was able to figure that out for him. So good for him. All right, boys. Huge fun. Credit to us for continuing to have entertaining content despite a team that may or may not be focusing on next year with a whole lot of games to play this year. If you are looking for us on social media, hit Twitter. That's where we're at. We are also on YouTube, where you can check out our smiling faces at any time. You want to get us a golden question, you can email that golden question to
huddle@warriorshuddle.com.
With that in mind, go, you know what? Also, the YouTube thing, as you heard from today, if you do catch us on a live show, You can always drop us a question that we can respond to right then, or a comment, as you've heard a couple of times. So another reason to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because it'll give you the notification that we're on live. With that in mind, go Warriors, and hopefully we'll see you real soon.